Ford cars aren't selling like they used to, and company profits are plummeting. As a result, they are practically selling their cars for pennies on the dollar. Ford has significantly dropped the price on most of their best sellers, with high-end Ford trucks and sleek SUVs now costing a fraction of what they used to. You might be thinking this is a win for us buyers, but a closer look reveals a flip side that hurts us more than them. If you're not in the know of Ford's new strategy, you might fall for their gimmick. So let's break it down. What's actually happening? Ford is making these drastic price drops in response to low sales over the last few years. This wasn't their first tactic though. Ford had initially raised its prices in a bid to market its products as classics and refine its lineup. But that strategy backfired as current consumers didn't fall for it, causing Ford to reevaluate their approach. But the question is, why aren't Ford cars selling? Entering any dealership, it's common to see rows after rows of Fords, even bestsellers like the F-150 and the Maverick just sitting there collecting dust. Over the last decade or so, it's common to see hundreds, maybe even thousands of Ford trucks lined up at the company's Dearborn plant. Despite a series of questions about this unusual stockpile, the executives over at Ford have been hushed about the real reason behind it. They've stated that the trucks are undergoing quality control tests, but that's a bit odd, isn't it? Wouldn't they have done these tests inside the factory before they stepped off the production line? This is a pretty valid concern when you consider the company's recent recall stats. Ford has topped the charts with more recalls than any other company in 2022 and has maintained that eerie trend ever since. This has caused consumers to question Ford's manufacturing methods. Rather than following a conventional manufacturing approach which prioritizes quality checks at all stages of the production line, Ford seems to follow another approach. They focus more on rapid mass production before tending to quality checks in the post-production stage. From a business standpoint, Ford's approach aims to meet soaring demands on their products, but from a consumer's view, there are concerns regarding the reliability of these quality tests. Are a few post-production tests enough to ensure the quality of these trucks? Or is Ford more concerned about turning a profit than ensuring the safety and reliability of their vehicles? Every automaker has to make tough decisions, but how Ford navigates these quality and reliability decisions will test the trust they've built with consumers over the last 100 years. Market reliability and consumer confidence in Ford trucks will definitely take a hit, but how much of a hit will depend on what they choose to prioritize going forward: quality and reliability, or meeting demands and turning a profit. So knowing all this, who would still opt to buy these trucks? Take for instance what they've done with the Ford Bronco. Bronco trucks have serious recurring gas leak problems that have been linked to these poor post-production quality tests. As a result, Ford made an enormous recall over 43,000 Broncos, one of the largest in the company's history. The real issue, as it turns out, was faulty fuel injectors that tended to cause leaks. These leaks caused fuel to meet the hot engine surface, which posed serious fire hazards. You don't have to be an engineer to see how that can be a serious issue. Ford's solution to this leak problem? You would expect them to opt for changing the faulty injectors, right? But that wasn't the case. They rather chose to add a tube designed to redirect any leaks away from the hot engine and into the ground. This might seem like a creative fix, but in truth, the Broncos that received this fix experienced unexpected slowdowns while in motion, which defeated the smooth driving experience that was promised. Instead of opting for a permanent fix to a known problem, Ford chose to mask the issue with a temporary fix, further complicating consumer trust in the brand's dedication to quality and safety. This hasn't just been a Ford problem. Other big brands like GM have faced issues with maintaining consumer trust due to one problem or the other. But the major difference between Ford and automakers like GM is that at least GM is profiting off it and maintaining healthy profit margins. They've been able to do this with high-priced trucks and SUVs, showcasing they at least have some level of control over consumer perception of their products. So whether you're a potential buyer looking to own one of these trucks or simply an investor looking for long-term investment options, you might want to have a closer look at the data available, because one thing is certain, and that is numbers don't lie. Let's not get it twisted though. Ford is still a force to be reckoned with. In 2023 alone, the automaker marked a 7% increase in overall sales, with sales units for trucks alone soaring above the 1 million mark. This marked a 13% increase over the previous year, a significant milestone in the company's history. But despite an increase in sales and demand, Ford experienced a reduction in its overall market share, contracting from over 15% to less than 13% by the end of the year. You might be asking how it's possible for Ford to have increased sales and still lose market shares. Well, that's possible due to a complex competitive landscape where other automakers upping their game means less of the market is available to Ford, even though they still sold a bit more. However, this is a feat only Ford has been able to master, and that's due to a secret strategy they've resurrected and have been implementing the last few years. Once we open your eyes to this strategy, it'll definitely blow your minds and might raise some much-needed questions. Ford now uses the time-old stair-step sales strategy to push the sales of its trucks, and the sales numbers show that it has been wildly successful so far. This strategy is pretty simple, really. Ford lets its dealership know that the more trucks they sell, the more incentives and rewards they get, which in turn brings in more customers and sales. Basically, the more 2023 F-150 each dealership sells, the more enticing rewards they get for themselves and their customers. It's no surprise these dealerships are marketing the living daylights out of these Ford trucks, selling as much as they can and giving Ford these insane sales figures. This strategy has received widespread criticism from both customers and dealerships alike. First-hand accounts from customers reveal that dealerships prioritize closing sales over customer satisfaction, leaving most buyers feeling pressured into buying trucks they didn't really want. Now, we're not saying all dealerships do this, but with incentives like the one Ford offers, it's hard to imagine dealerships wanting to miss out on getting those commissions that come with each sale. However, it isn't all roses and profits for Ford even with this strategy. While they may be making impressive sales with these new tactics, they're getting hit from other angles and seeing record losses from other segments of the market, and that's their EV offerings. Ford's EV segment seems to be taking the biggest hit from its attempt at incentivizing sales for its trucks. Reports have it that Ford is losing around $36,000 for each of their EVs sold in the third quarter of 2023. While dealerships are ramping up their EV offerings for other automakers, the focus on Ford trucks is causing a significant loss to Ford's EV segment. In the previous year alone, Ford recorded a whopping $4.7 billion marketing its range of EVs, and it's not looking any better for this year. Projections have it that Ford could be looking at losses of over $5.5 billion this year, except they may make some drastic moves. This is a testament that you simply can't trick consumers into buying more of one line of products without losing sight of the other. However, despite these losses, Ford remains resolute in its plan to electrify its entire lineup by 2030. The automaker isn't backing down and pouring more research and development into its EVs, pushing out new models each year. This raises a vital question. Why is Ford doing this if they're recording losses? Well, it all comes down to the slew of software these EVs come equipped with. With the complex features now built into these cars, owners are now required to visit dealerships for maintenance and repair services. With independent mechanics and repairmen unable to access these intricate high-tech software that require specialized attention, owners have no choice but to visit Ford dealerships for repairs. This funnels an extra revenue stream that would ordinarily go to independent mechanics right back to Ford. So while they might not be making record sales with their EVs, Ford is actually repping back some of its losses by intensifying control over repair processes, and it's working out. Ford isn't alone in this regard. More automakers are now monopolizing repair processes and setting premium pricing terms, funneling back revenue and amping up profits. While this may seem like a ripoff, it's entirely legal and well within the company's rights. Considering the amount of proprietary software and high-tech features companies like Ford invest in their vehicles, from a business standpoint, it's only fair. But these repair premiums aren't nearly enough to make up for the loads of unsold EV inventory piled up in Ford plants. Even companies like Tesla are feeling the heat from the slow EV sales. So, what's the solution? Cutting prices as low as possible. Take Tesla, for instance. They're cutting over $7,500 for the base price of the Model Y and some Model 3s, and Ford is doing the same with some of its hybrids and pickups. But are these companies doing this at the expense of quality, cutting down on key features to make up for the price cuts? These are legitimate concerns that could have a domino effect of continuous price cuts at the expense of quality and reliability. So, is Ford doing too much by restricting repairs to dealerships, and possibly swapping quality for profits? Who gets the sharp end of the stick in the end? Ford, or the consumers who once trusted them to produce reliable and durable cars? Will you be making any low-budget Ford purchases, or are you boycotting them for other brands? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.